Hi, I'm Bart Hanson. I'm the owner and lead instructor for CrushLivePoker.com. The following hand comes from our call-in show that we record every Mondays at 4:45 p.m. Pacific Time. If you enjoy the channel, please hit that like button and also subscribe to the channel. Turn notifications on and you will get an email link with this full episode. And if you want to submit to this show, take a look at the information in the description. Now we're going to do our last hand here, which is my hand, which will definitely go up because this is going to be in the regular podcast either for 2 weeks from now or 3 weeks from now. I'm actually doing a bunch of podcasts the next 3 to 4 weeks on all my hands here from the bike, but I thought that this one was particularly interesting, and it involved a bad player or a fishy player, which you're going to see this for about a lot at 5-5, but I sort of have to wrap this and give a little bit of history here. I was pretty busy on my phone last night doing work stuff. And obviously that's not necessarily the best approach, but I mean, it's 5-5 and I've got stuff to do. I'm trying to put the hours in for the challenge. But the reason why I say that is because I had just told myself, like, hey, like, I've got this shit I got to do. I'm going to try to play as close to like what you're supposed to play pre-flop here, as like as a tight player would. Like if it's close, I'm just going to fold. So what ended up happening was that like I didn't play a hand for at least 3 to 4 rounds. I mean, I had a bad distribution of cards too, but maybe like I folded a couple small pairs from up front, which are like, close that I might open if I was actively paying attention in the game. But I was just like, hey, I've got to do this shit. I had to write a correspondence letter. So I was doing this and I was like, so I ended up not playing any hands, literally. And the people at the table didn't really know who I was either. So I felt it just looked like, hey, I look like an extremely tight player. That's what I think it really looked like. No one had talked to me or anything like that. So we get into this hand, and this is quite funny, right? So I haven't played a hand in like 3.5 hours. So I'm under the gun with a 1K stack, and I raise to 20, which is my standard open with Queen of Spades, 10 of Spades. It's standard size open. And just like to be expected, right, when you don't see a guy open or play a hand for, say, an hour, 3.5 orbits, I get 6 people to call me. I haven't played a hand in an hour and a half, and 6 people call me. I'm under the gun, +1 calls. Primary villain here, which is going to be in +2. We'll call him V1 +2. He calls, and I had already sort of seen him. He was definitely a recreational player. Okay. Low jack call. I mean, these guys are all recreational players, but this guy especially. Low jack calls, button calls, and both blinds call. So 7 ways. So both blinds call, right? So the pot's like 140, and then, whatever the drop is too. 7 ways. I've got Queen 10 of Spades from under the gun and make it 20. The flop comes out King of Diamonds, Jack of Spades, 7 of Diamonds. So it's King of Diamonds, Jack of Spades, 7 of Diamonds. I've got Queen 10 of Spades. So I flop open-ended here with a backdoor flush draw. Okay? So the blinds check to me. And I'm like, there's no way that this is going to get through with a c-bet here. There's just too many people out here. I mean, this is kind of like what, if you guys play PLO, the continuation betting has to sort of be reined in. I mean, yes, I do have equity, right? Someone's going to hit this board, though. I do have equity, and you're supposed to rein in your c-betting when there's so many cards out there, right? And I sort of had in the back of my mind, like, let's see what happens in this spot. So check, hero checks, +1, who is this like little fidgety guy, he bet 75. So he bet 75. Remember, he had just called me from +1. +2 calls. Okay. The low jack calls. Button folds. Blinds fold. And it gets back to me. So +1, 75, +2 calls. Low jack calls. So already there's $360 out there in dead money. Now, again, I'm looking at this like I'm a very tight player in this particular spot. And I was like, you know what? I think this is a great spot to sometimes check raise here. The guys in the field, besides the +1, their ranges are somewhat collapsed. They're not going to be slow playing really like a whole lot. I feel like with a bunch of people behind them in this pot that's already bloated up. Remember, like +1 bets is +2 and low jack are going to call with sets of sevens, king jack, with all these people behind them and the pot's big. I thought it's a perfect spot where those guys don't have strong hands. As long as I can get through +1 here, this is going to be a very, very profitable play for me to take it down right now. The sizing is kind of interesting here, but like I said, there's about 360 in the pot. So I decide to check raise to 400. Here to 400. So again, check, 75, call, call, fold, fold, fold. I check raise to 400 with queen 10 of spades. +1 thinks about it for a while and finally folds. And now +2, which I was not expecting, kind of snap calls. And the low jack folds. So now we're heads up. And the pot is just a hair under 1,100. I believe it's like 1,090. Okay. So now we're heads up. I've got $600 left in my stack, right? Because I just put in 400 and I started with 1,000. The turn's the 7 of clubs. So it's king of diamonds, jack of spades, 7 of diamonds, 7 of clubs. And now the question is, and I think this is a really kind of a fun spot, what do you do here? What do you do with your hands that are full? Like if, for example, you had played like pocket jacks this way, or you had played king jack this way, and I might play the hands like in this manner. They're both the nuts. If I had king jack suited, jacks, I wouldn't want to play kings this way. I wouldn't want to necessarily drive everybody out, but kings probably wouldn't be played as a check raise in this manner. But what would you do? Or I've had quad sevens or something like that. You know, it's 1,090. We have 600 left. And I immediately went through the options. I'm like, to be honest with you, in a very, very unbalanced way, I certainly would probably come out and bet like $200 with a full house here to get the pot larger. You know, if I bet 200 here into like 1,090 and he makes the call, the pot's going to be like 1,490. We're going to have 400 left. I wouldn't want to let it get checked through. So I would probably bet 200 to 250 here. But what do I want to try to accomplish here? Which is quite interesting. Is just like I want to get the fold. Now, if he had some sort of draw on the board pairs, I was thinking, well, I'm just going to shove and he's just going to fold, right? So in game, almost kind of like as a reflex, I'm like, all right, well, then I'm going to shove here, and this is probably going to get folded through a lot of the time, right? So I just shoved. So hero shoves, and +2 thinks about it for a little bit, and he makes the call. So +2 thinks and calls. River is the deuce of spades, and +2 says, I missed. You got it. And turns over ace of diamonds, 6 of diamonds for ace high. That scoops over a $2,000 pot. And I walked away from this and I was like, well, that's really, really interesting, because was there another way to play this as if I had played as if I had had a full house here? How do fish perceive that people are going to play a full house? How do people at this level, how are they going to play like a full house here? Would it have been better for me to check the turn? Because is a guy with a nut flush draw going to suddenly just blast the turn when I check? It looks like I have a full house. So would it have been better for me to check the turn and then just put in like a double delay at the end when the diamond bricks up? Now, like I said, in game, I thought, oh, well, I'll just bet here and I'll get plenty of fold equity when this guy's range is collapsed. He's not really slow playing anything. I'm going to get a lot of folds here. And obviously, he's supposed to fold ace-6 of diamonds, right, on a king-jack 7-7 board when a guy check raises him as the pre-flop raiser who hasn't played a fucking hand in 90 minutes from under the gun in a 7-way pot, right? He's supposed to fold on the flop. Definitely supposed to fold on the turn. But it's such an extreme scenario dealing with like a recreational player. I definitely would bet small with a full house. It gets dangerous, though, because if I make it like 250 and he's possibly like holding on with king queen, is he going to fold at the end? Should I have just checked and let it go check, check, and then bet like 300 at the end? You know, just hope that diamonds break out, he checks back, and I bet like 300, and that would have been it. But here, by shoving, he gets to see the showdown with ace high, and we end up breaking out. I actually think it's very, very interesting. But if I played at this level a lot, I would have to start to take some of these things into consideration, which is part of the reason why I'm trying to do part of my 5-5 challenge so that I can bring my expertise to a lot of my viewership and subscribers that play at this level, because there are certain things to think about. Like if you check raise with a draw, with a combo draw, and someone calls you and the board pairs, what's the best way to get them to fold? Is it to bet? What's the sizing? Is it to play it like you're playing a full house and then just bet the river when it goes check, check? Now, obviously, when you have a draw, it's less likely that they have a draw because you have some of the cards. But here, I thought it was quite interesting. And that's going to be a huge, huge swing for me, because instead of winning 1,700, I lost 1,000 in that pot for my challenge here for like the 30 or 40 hours that I'm playing over the next few days. But definitely an interesting one. Hey guys, if you like what you've seen here, please click on the subscribe button and you'll get notified every time we put up a new video. And if you want to check out crushlivepoker.com for the first month free, use the code YTA200. Click on the link right there.